I didn't think that my words had power. I didn't think my words had weight, and I didn't think that my gift was something that the world even needed to hear. And so when I started to kind of step into that truth and that strength of realizing that each and every one of us have something unique to offer the world that's really special, I think that's when I started to really kind of pursue this at a higher level.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Nisa Tova. And today's guest, gosh, I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Thunderstorm Artis. He's a singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist. He's a dad, a husband. I mean, the list is endless. You might have first heard his voice on The Voice, where he was a finalist, and or also more recently as a top 8 standout on American Idol. I think it was John Legend called his voice magical. So you guys can only imagine what that's like. And Billboard praised his soul and presence. He's performed with Jack Johnson, Train, Zach Brown Band. Wow. And blends, it's actually, it's an interesting blend of like island soul, acoustic folk, and just raw storytelling. And sort of in a way that feels honest. Anyway, without a further ado, Thunderstorm, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, man. I know we've been talking about this for a little bit, so I'm glad to make it work.
You know what? And we literally just virtually met, a few minutes ago. And, we said, look, you just kind of have to go with the flow as the life unfolds. And when it happens, it happens. So, I'm always curious about stories. So I think, and I read, but I like to go beyond the headlines, that you grew up in a big musical family. Was it on North Shore of Oahu?
Yes. So I grew up in a family of 11 kids, 6 boys and 5 girls. Both of my parents were artists. Yeah, on the North Shore of this little town called Haleiwa on Oahu. So I was actually just there yesterday, and I flew in from there. We did a big show there at the Blue Note, and then I actually did a performance in the prison there for some of the inmates, just to bring some light, some joy, and some, I don't know, just something good to them. They followed my journey on American Idol. But yeah, I grew up in a big family, man. I'm super excited to dive into the story and be able to share a little bit more of what's behind the lens of who I am.
Yeah, no, that is a big family. Now that's huge. Now, my grandmother, because I came here from Eastern Europe as a teenager, she was a one of 18 siblings. I mean, I can't even imagine. But I mean, tell us, what was that like? What was what did the life sound like in that house?
Man, it was beautiful. It was hard. It was creative. It was
Mm.
really special. We dealt with definitely a lot of ups and downs financially, but as long as we had each other, we knew that we can get through pretty much anything. Um, but yeah, no, I was just back visiting my mom and a couple of my sisters, and we were kind of reminiscing on some of the older days in the town that I grew up in. You know what I mean? Like I didn't leave Hawaii or be on the first plane until I was 18, and I went to Germany actually for like 6 weeks. That was my first experience off of the rock. It was really special, man. My parents, we were homeschooled kids, so my parents taught us everything we knew, whether it was music, whether it was life, whether it was math, whether it was creativity. And they were our teachers, man, and then the community helped raise us as well. So it's such a beautiful thing, man. Yeah. What parts of my story would you like to highlight a little bit more on? You just let me know, and I'm an open book.
I am just fascinated by everything. You're drawing me in, and I'm trying to feel the energy in your household. What comes to mind is so many children, and as parents, they're homeschooling, they're guiding you as parents, and I'm sensing love, and where did they? What was the central message? Because you sound very grounded.
I try to be a grounded person. I think that groundness though comes from a lot of things that I've kind of faced in my life and a lot of different experiences that I've been through. So like as you know my story, if you watch me on The Voice, you heard me talk about it a bit on American Idol. I lost my father when I was about 13, 14 years old. And so that kind of caused my family to kind of go through a metamorphosis or something like that. You know, we were just it was such a difficult season. Our father was our rock. He was our leader.
Mm.
You know what I mean? He was the one who was the preacher of the family. You know, he was the one who was the teacher of the family. You know, when it came to music, when it came to life lessons, like he would always say to my mom, like, "Hey, you teach them the math and the academics and all those different things, and I'll teach them life, and everything that they need to be able to kind of venture out into this world that can be a beautiful thing or a crazy thing, man." And so yeah, you know, just being a young man, experiencing all of those things in my upbringing, and just going through the journey of life of being number 7 of 11 kids, so having older siblings that, you know, that needed me, and having younger siblings that need me, and just having to grow up faster than most people my age would have. I think I experienced a lot of life at an early age, and so I think I've kind of adopted this mentality of I'm not owed anything. And I don't deserve anything in a way, not in a negative way, but in a way that of saying that like I walk into each situation with gratitude and not with expectation. Um, and just being thankful for the things that I get to do. That's how it was on American Idol. That's how it was on The Voice. That's how it is being a father. That's how it is being a husband, man. I'm very thankful that I get these experiences. And I'm very thankful that I get the platform that I get, and hopefully to be able to bring a message to the world. I started music as a form of therapy, so when I realized that my therapy can be therapy for others, that's why I really pursued it at the heights that I've been pursuing it at.
That's interesting. I was wondering, what was that moment, whether it was a quiet moment, loud moment, when you realized that music was not just something that you loved, but something that you had to pursue?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great question. For me, you know, I tried to put music down when I was about 18, 19 years old. My family was going through a very tough financial time. And so I actually took almost a year off of music and got a job at a pizza parlor called Jerry's Pizza on the North Shore of Oahu, and was working there. And they just so happened to have music there live a couple times a week. And I would listen to other people get up there and sing their songs on the stage or cover songs. And it was kind of like I was watching them live my life in a way. And I think that's when that little turn happened. I was talking to a friend when I was traveling, and I was like, I think I came to this understanding that music wasn't just something that I did, it was a part of who I was.
Mm.
It was also a place, a vehicle for me to carry my emotions and my truth, in a way that I was never really good at. Nowadays, I feel like I'm better at talking a little bit, but as a kid, I was the quietest kid that you would have met in my neighborhood. I kind of had this idea that anything that I could say or do that had been said or done before, so it was a point of saying or doing anything. I didn't think that my words had power. I didn't think my words had weight, and I
Mm.
didn't think that my gift was something that the world even needed to hear. And so when I started to kind of step into that truth and that strength of realizing that each and every one of us have something unique to offer the world that's really special, I think that's when I started to really kind of pursue this at a higher level.
And I know it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I've done a lot of personal work, and for me able to be seen, I had to see myself first and then see others. And it sounds like so you've been through a lot, obviously a lot of adversity, many, many challenges. And I heard you say, music sort of became, it was almost like a form of healing. How did you go from being this quiet kid where you didn't think your voice mattered all that much to this confidence, and finding your voice?
Man, I mean, age had to do a big thing with it. I'm 29 now. I'm turning 30 at the end of this year. Um, I think age, experience, stepping into a situation, validation really helps in the sense of, you know, being able to do the things that I do on a big stage, and hearing the response from people that I really admire. You know what I mean? I think back on The Voice, like a friend of mine just returned a journal that I left at their house. And there's literally in the pages before I went on stage for my blind audition, I was literally talking. I was like, man, I'm surrounded by a million people that are way more talented than I am. Like, I think I was just literally the audition before the blind. And I was like, I literally think I just did this audition for the producers. I don't know if they like it. I think I think I'm going home. And, but at least I gave it a try. At least I took a shot. And I was just that was my mentality, you know what I mean? It was like I'm a kid from a small town. I didn't have much. And part of my story that I don't talk a lot about on my social media or even on Idol or anything is my family went through a season of homelessness. So you know what I mean? Like, so you just grew up in this mentality of like, man, I'm less than what's around me. And I thought that my identity had to do with the things that I had or the things that I did not. I thought that my identity was my circumstance. And I think when I came to the understanding that that's not who I am, like it might be, the parts that help build me to the person that I am today, but that's not the example of who I am, or the seasons that I've been through are not necessarily depicting what my future is going to look like. And so I think I started to come to that understanding. When I met my wife, I was going through a lot of soul searching, a lot of healing, and she definitely helped me, come to a lot more understandings and a lot more having more gratitude for myself and gratitude for what I can accomplish and what I can do. And when you get married, your lens kind of focuses in, and when you have kids, you get even more narrowed down and focus on what you
Yeah.
do has to matter, and everything has to have a purpose and a reason. And so yeah, just say age, life experiences, and also getting to see people be affected by what I do. Being able to see that what I have to offer is a blessing to some, maybe a few, or maybe a lot. To me, really is a validation that I really believe in the sense of like, if I can help one person have a better day, then I'm doing something right.
Wow, this is amazing. I got all choked up just because there's parts of the story that are so familiar, and I faced the same, not same, but the homelessness when I first came to this country from another country. I was 16 or 17 years old,
Mm,
and I'm wondering too is, I mean, I felt, homeless but never helpless, and I almost felt, and it felt like it was just it was a part of a phase, a life, and I'm so solution oriented. It's like, okay, what's the next step? Okay, you gotta
yeah,
make this work, right? It just
yeah,
kicks into the overdrive. It's like, okay, now I'm not gonna be stuck here. No.
yeah. It's like, getting outside of the victim mentality. And
Yeah,
I think
no.
that's one thing that I've really adopted is like my circumstances or the things that I've dealt with, the adversities and whatnot. I could easily say, it's my parents' fault or my siblings' fault, or like, or not just that, or the environment around us, it's all their fault, and they need to like pay me back and I need to get back at them. And I was just like, man, that doesn't do anything in my life. That doesn't bring any positive. That doesn't bring any life to anything. It's just destruction and death. And then at the end, the people that you're trying to blame are no longer there, and the only one left to blame is yourself for the circumstances that you're in. And so that's a mentality in my mindset, you know what I mean? And I also
Yeah.
got to watch my father kind of go through that season when we were homeless and whatnot. He didn't stop working a single day. He didn't stop striving. He never lived with that mentality of I've given up and woe is me. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, you know what? We're gonna wake up every day. We're gonna go to work, and we're gonna stand here, and we know that the Lord's gonna deliver. We know that things are gonna work out, and we're gonna keep on pressing on. In watching that faith, you know what I mean? My father supported a family of 11 kids just
Yes.
purely through his art and his music, and my mom helped him manage that. And so watching them go take us out of a place of homeless from starting their own business on the North Shore of Oahu, in having all of us and teaching us all music and all those different things, and watching them do that through with this gift and in faith, but also not lose track of his integrity of who he was. That was a special thing. And I think even as a young person, getting to witness that, I think that inspired me that, it's possible to push through all these different things, and it's possible to stand in the face of adversity and say, you don't define me. Like, I'm going to
Mm.
use you as a fire to push me forward, but I'm not going to stand here and be a victim of what I'm going through in life. I'm going to stand and say I own it, like it happened. I wrote this song a while ago. It was called "Put the Blame on Me," and the reason why it was like there was whenever a situation was kind of happening in the family or different things, sometimes when you're in the middle child, you end up getting blamed for whatever, or in life, you end up getting blamed for a lot of things. And it's easy to try to sit there and defend the blame. And I was like, man, sometimes when you kind of disarm the world or disarm the ones around you, and you're just like, hey, go ahead, put the blame on me. I'm going to work with it. Like, if you say it's my fault, it's fine. I'm going to take it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to make it better. I'm going to present it back to you. And when I started to live with that mentality, man, it was such a strength, because I was like, dude, if it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just
Yeah.
stepping up and standing up and making it happen.
Oh, love it. Oh my gosh, you're a doer. I love it, love it, love it. You're right. You can blame it on circumstances, and you have so many reasons that it probably would have been okay if you did, but that's great. You took control and you ran with it, and you're such a great example. Wow. So speaking of music, I mean, you were talking about, oh yeah, when I was on a Voice or American Idol, you go from here to here, and I know there's a lot in between. How did it even come about? How did you end up on The Voice?
Man, it's a crazy story of what is it, like happenstance or something like that. So like, I played a lot of music growing up. Grew up playing on the North Shore and duo with my older brother after the family band. And I would, whenever I was writing new music when I was off the road, I would always busk to like make extra funds, but also to test out new songs. And so the story goes, and I usually tell this from stage because it's kind of funny. I was sitting in my living room and I beat my favorite video game. This is a video game called Metal Gear Solid. And I beat it. And for 15 seconds, I was so happy. And then for the rest of the time, I realized that I accomplished absolutely nothing at all. And so I was like, okay, frick it. I was like, man, I grabbed my instruments and I went down to my friend's ice cream store that was called Scoops of Paradise. And I sat up in the front and just played music to the open air to anyone that would listen. Um, and this couple was walking by and they stopped to listen. They listened for about 45 minutes. And so I was like,
Wow.
you've listened to me, some no name guy over here that you have no idea who he is for like 40 minutes. I was like, I might as well introduce myself and get to know you. And the guy, he turned out to be this man named John Chu. He was the movie director of this film called Crazy Rich Asians, In the Heights, and the film
Oh,
Wicked.
wow.
Um, and he asked me, he really loved what I was doing. And he asked me if I could write the song for their first dance for their wedding and flew me out to California to perform for the wedding and meet a couple industry people and things. And then unbeknownst to me, reached out to The Voice and was like, you should check out this guy named Thunderstorm Artis. And so I was on the road and The Voice reached out. When they first reached out, I thought it was spam. So I literally was like, I thought it was one of those emails, you won the iPhone 23, just put in your social security number. And I was like, dude, if this was real, I'm down, but I bet this is fake. And they're like, no, this is real. Someone recommended you for the show. Just come through LA. You have this time. Just come through LA, sing in front of the producers, share a little bit of your story so that we can kind of see if the two things connect. So I flew into LA, and at that time, my family was kind of like really anti music competitions.
Mm,
So I was the first one in my family to ever do something like that. And so to kind of go and take a chance, and that was a year where I was just saying yes. I was like, if God opens a door, I'm going to step through it.
mm.
I don't have to understand it. I'm just going to step through it and see what happens. And so I did. I flew down there. I went to LA. I sang a couple songs, and one of those songs was Blackbird. And the Voice production producers were like, man, like we've never seen someone do Blackbird on the show. Would love for you to, do that song for your blind audition if you want to.
Wow.
Um, and so that's how it all started. It wasn't something that I was seeking. It wasn't something I was searching for. It's actually one of the things I thought I would never do. And so that's why stepping into it, I was just like, man, like this is, I was like, this is not my life. I'm not looking for this. And so I was just like, bro, I'm probably gonna go up there, do my blind audition, have my 15 seconds, and then kind of hop off the stage.
Right.
But to get a four chair turn was insane, and then to make it as far as I did with COVID
Wow.
and everything was just even crazier. And in that year, there were so many changes in my life that all happened at once. It was at once like most people knew who I was. I met my wife and we got married after 4 months of knowing each other.
Oh,
I moved off of the island to Nashville, but then also to Oregon. So it was like in 1 year, all my friends were like, "Thunder, you're crazy." Uh, there was like one thing that you're doing in life, one thing you're doing in this year would be crazy for one person, but you're doing 4 or 5 things at once. And I was just like, dude, I'm just saying yes, and I'm just stepping through.
mm,
And then yeah, so throughout COVID, man, I started to build my brand, started to build my business, started to really hone my craft as an artist and started to tour and got to do a few headline shows, got to tour with Train, got to tour with the Zach Brown Band, got to tour with Jack Johnson, got to play a lot of dream venues. I wrote there, I was like, in 5 years, I want to play Red Rocks. And in that year, I got to open for Train at the Red Rocks Amphitheater, which was insane. And then, entering this year, I was just kind of like, man, I want to continue to figure out how to build and how to grow. And American Idol had reached out about 7 times, and I said no 7 times. And so the last time they reached out, I was like, talked to my wife about it, and we were like, you know what, let's just take a shot and let's just see what happens. I got here by just saying yes, so let's just say yes again and see what happens. And the rest is kind of history up to that point. And now, man, this year is looking really fun, and the next year is looking really fun as well. There's a lot of new things that are happening, and things that would have never happened if I didn't say yes.
wow. Wow. I don't even know. I don't even know where to pick up. This is, well, first of all, Red Rocks, awesome. I've spent like 2 decades in Colorado.
Love it
So
there.
yeah, yeah, no, that's like a life changing. But um, no, that is just exceptional. That is just you were at the right moment at the right time. And then you were just open. You were open to possibilities, and that's just it's just a great manifestation to just kind of roll with what's in front of you. So you didn't stop there. You returned to national TV on American Idol, and so what? I think you performed in front of James Taylor, didn't you?
Yeah, man.
Oh my God.
The craziest thing is that James Taylor was my battle advisor. Sorry, my
Oh.
knockout advisor on The Voice. And then was my advisor on American Idol. And so that's why when I got the chance to work with him on Idol, I was like, I want to sing one of your songs. Because I was like, man, your music has helped shape me as an
Yeah,
artist and as an individual growing up and listening to James Taylor, John Denver, um, Paul Simon, you know what I mean? The Beatles, and then
yeah,
a lot of the artists in the Motown world, like as an acoustic guitar player and a singer songwriter, these are artists that are the foundation of what I do. And so getting to hang with them this time and at the season of life that I'm in, I mean, we had a cool long conversation just about parenting and being a full-time, father, but also a full-time artist on the road and trying to parent. And he shared a lot of really great insight. And it was really fun to kind of sit with him and then to hear the kind things that he had to say about me in his interview afterwards was really special. So yeah, getting to work with him, getting to work with Jelly Roll, that guy is amazing. Getting to work with Lionel Richie, Luke Bryan, Carrie Underwood, like, and then all the rest of the contestants, the ones you saw on TV and the ones you didn't see on TV, they were so talented. Um, to me, it was just such a beautiful life experience. And I was, not that I'm really old, but I was actually the eldest contestant there. So in a
yeah.
way, it was really fun to kind of come in with the experience of being on The Voice and being able to help some of the other contestants through the anxiety and the stress of it all, because there's so much that's going on behind scenes. So I just felt like there was even another higher purpose for me being there, just being able to,
Mm.
I don't know, help ground people as they helped ground me as well. And it was a family. I'm getting to see a couple of them in a week. They're coming out here to Nashville. We're doing a big concert together. So I'm really excited. I feel like I met some brothers, I met some sisters, and I met some good friends as well.
Oh my gosh, this is like so emotional. It's just, I can, I can just sort of visualize and the doors opening, and there's a, there's a sense of appreciation and gratitude. You said it, but I can sense it, and good things happen to good people. I'm really believing in that. When it comes to your sound, it's you don't seem to fit into a box. I mean, it seems like it drifts between folk and soul, acoustic. So when you sit down to do a song, um, how do you know where it wants to go?
I mean, that's a very good question. I mean, I used to think that I had to be in a box. I used to
Mm.
think that I had to be, an R&B singer, or I had to be a folk singer, or I had to be a country singer or a country artist, and different things like that. And then I started to, look at some of the artists that I really love, like, I mean, Louis Capaldi nowadays, or even some of Billie Eilish things, or other artists that I just grew up listening to, and or John Legend, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I started to look at what they do, and I'm like, yeah, sometimes they fit the genre pocket, but one thing is this: like John Legend is John Legend,
Yeah.
Billie Eilish is Billie Eilish. Like no matter what style of music they do when they get on stage, that's them. And so I was like, you know what? There's only one me. I'm just gonna be me. Like I love music. I grew up learning to play every different genre of music. My father always said that, we couldn't say we didn't like a genre of music unless we understood it. And then I started to
Mm.
learn that each genre allowed me to showcase a different part of who I was in a very authentic way. And that's why like a lot of my songs even kind of transcend genres. They kind of cross over with a little influence of blues or a little influence of rock and roll or like folk or singer-songwriter or even some classical stuff. And
Wow.
all that to say is that when I sit down to write a song, like I more so think about the message that I want to convey. And then the genre or the sound is just the vehicle that carries it. I think that's I'm a Christian through and through. And my father would always say that gospel music is not a genre. The gospel is the word. The gospel is the message. The gospel is the truth. The genre is just the vehicle that carries it. And so that's how I view when I write music. Like I was in the studio today doing a song that is not similar to a lot of the songs that I have out. You know what I mean? And I love that, because I love going in there and creating something fresh. Now, there are definitely things in this business. You want to make sure that when you do a project that you have things that sonically sound alike. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm done with that project and I can go do what I want to do. And that's a beautiful side of it. You know what I mean? Especially living in a city like Nashville. But yeah, I try not to confine myself to a genre because I think that's doing myself a disservice as a person, as an artist. I don't really like Grammys and stuff. That'd be really fun, but it's not my focus. My focus is trying to help people, trying to put truth in music, and so whatever that it sounds like that gets me there is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's the fluidity about you. Again, it's like it's wherever it takes you. It doesn't have to be defined. You don't have to be put in a box. Um, yeah, that's really, it sounds freeing. You talked about your sister and her strength during her illness. What did you take away from that season?
Man, so you're talking about my sister, praise Jesus. She's currently still dealing with some aspects of this. I actually got to see her in I got to see her in Hawaii when I was just there, man. And watching her go through what she's going through, and I think she's the most talented individual in my family. I think she's more talented than me artistically and musically, and the things that she can do on the piano is just amazing. So, watching her go through what she's going through is very tough. It's very difficult, especially as a brother. Um, in similar ways as what I feel as a husband is just like sometimes you want to go in and you want to fix everything.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not my job to fix. It's not my job to and it's like I was reading this thing, it's just like, the body is temporary, like your spirit is forever. My sister's strength and perseverance in her spirit and her heart, like, is one of the most amazing things to see her tackle this thing. And I know that like she's gonna overcome it. I know she has a strength to it. It's really nice that the things that she had to have removed, none of the things were cancerous. So there's no long term effects to some of the things that she had to do surgically. And so there's a lot of healing. And so a lot of healing, a lot of prayer, a lot of strength, a lot of PT. And so just making sure that, that she has an environment that she can do that in is really important. So yeah, I appreciate you asking and saying something about that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love her. She's my older sister, but she's like my baby sister. And
Mm.
so I talk to her often and we play video games together. And yeah, so she's in high spirits and she's the strongest. She's the shortest in the family, but she's a firecracker, man. She's a firecracker. Ain't nothing holding her down for long.
Yeah. No, a lot of sending lots of love and a lot of strength. I saw just it was a maybe a story, it was a social media, and I was just looking at the interaction, and it was just this great. There was pain and energy and healing, and and to me, I've been through quite a bit as well, and to me, it's just talking about it, giving it air and a space. And sometimes you don't feel well, you grieve, you hurt, or you're excited, you want to cry, you just give it space, you talk about it, you don't stuff it in, and send strength that way. That's just my personal belief, and so I appreciate you sharing that. Tell me about your kids and your wife, and what do you guys enjoy doing as a family?
Man, I do want to say this first before I go into that. My sister during my stint on American Idol, the one that was going through all the health things, she was my biggest supporter. She was running a lot of the social media things for me. She was like, shooting out there. She was making sure the magazines in Hawaii knew. So even though she was dealing with what she was dealing with, she was so selfless in the way that she was just
Wow.
like, no, I want to support you and I want to make sure that everyone knows that what my little brother is doing right now.
Oh.
And I thought that was just really special. So yeah, on my family, man, I got two little boys, one that just turned 3. His name is Ezekiel, and I have another one who's 9 months.
Oh.
This is Zion. So Ezekiel Storm and Zion Joy, man, these boys are two of the best things that I've ever done in my whole life. Um, so getting to watch them grow up, getting to see a little bit of myself, a little bit of my wife in them, but a beautiful wholeness of just who they are, even at this age. Such a beautiful thing. Being a parent will teach you a lot about yourself, and kind of what you're talking about. Holding space for emotions when you have to explain emotions. You have to explain why we feel the way we feel, what we do with the frustration, what we do with the pain, what we do with the anger. You know what I mean? What do we do when you want something and someone's telling you no, you can't have it, and they ask you why, you say because I'm your dad, and that doesn't make sense to them. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
learning to explain those things. And my father always said, teach what you want to learn. And so
Mm.
as I'm teaching these things to my kids, like I'm learning a lot. And it's such a beautiful thing, man. I'm learning to be still. I'm learning to not be so focused on the future that I forget to live in the present.
Wow.
Um, I'm learning as being a husband, man. I'm learning to feel my emotions. As going through the things that I've been through in life, I built up a lot of walls as a sense of protection. But when I came older and into my relationship, those walls ceased to be a protection. It became more of a prison that was keeping me from feeling the things that I needed to feel. And so when my wife first shared something before we had kids, she was like, "Hey, Thunder, the things that you're going through and you're keeping from me, I know you're doing this in a way that you're trying to protect me and shield me from this part of who you are." She was like, "That's not actually protecting me, it's actually hurting me."
Mm.
And when she shared that, it started me to do a lot of internal work, and a lot of internal work that's not even complete. It's not done, man. It's a lot of things that I'm still working on. I don't think it would ever be done. That's the beauty of life. We always are in a state of learning, in a state of growing. And so I'm trying to be a better husband. I'm trying to be a better father every single day. There's a lot of things we love doing. My son loves to walk. We got about like a little 5-minute walk to our mailbox and back because of our neighborhood. So we go on a walk. He rides his little bike. He loves that. Or he rides my skateboard. I play a lot of pickleball and a lot of golf. So he loves watching me do that. He loves to come and use my paddles and bang them on the ground and bust them all up. He loves loves to watch Bluey. Loves to watch his shows. Loves to just have fun, man. And that's a beauty. It's also watching. It's awesome watching him sit down and just with his imagination, playing with his toys and his cars and having such a simple outlook of life. It kind of reminds me to slow down, and to see the beauty in the little things. He loves when I'll sing songs to him. Like and when he comes to one of my concerts, my wife brings him sometimes. Like after I get off stage, he's like, "Daddy, you're such a great singer. You did so good."
Oh,
Like, and just seeing that, man, seeing my kids be so proud of what I'm doing, it's an
mm.
empowering thing for however long that is, man. Someday maybe he'll be a teenager and be like, "Ah, dad, stop singing," or whatever. But for right now, man, just to
Yeah.
see them love what I'm doing and come to understand, like when I have to go to work and when I have to do these things, the hours and sometimes the days that I'm away from them, it's tough. It's hard, you know what I mean? Because you want to be there
Yeah.
for every single moment. And so I've worked it out sometimes that they can travel with me, which is a beautiful thing. But on the days that they can't, like I'm about to go on this tour that's going to be about 5 weeks with this band called the War and Treaty. And so for that time, my wife and the kids are going to be flying to Australia to see her folks. And so, having 5 weeks away from them is tough. I love my boys. I love my wife, and I love doing life with my boys. And watching them grow up, watching them go through each step and each moment. That's why, yeah, I love them, man. They're the best thing ever happened. It's like I feel sorry for the people out there that don't realize how much a beautiful thing being a parent is. I always pray that, in our country, man, a lot of people think it's so expensive and it's not really worth it to pursue it. I'm
Mm.
just like, man, it's one of the most life fulfilling things that you can do. I just say, man, like when I had kids, it gave me purpose. It gave me a higher purpose.
Mm.
It just showed me that I was just wasting time. And I was just wasting time and being selfish with my time. And so when you have kids, man, it just shows you they're like, wow, this is what we were built for. This is what we were made for. And I feel like I'm walking in purpose now.
Well, you had many siblings. Are you stopping at number two?
Oh man, it's an ongoing story. It's an ongoing debate. I would love 7 kids. I would love 11
Oh,
kids, man. I helped raise a lot of my siblings, you know what I mean? And then my
yeah.
brother, he has 5 kids. He has 4 girls, 1 boys. My oldest brother. And I helped, like, being an uncle for them before I had kids, before I was married, was one of the most beautiful things. Like still today in my relationship with my nieces, like it's one of the most special things. I feel like, they're my own daughters. And to
Mm.
me, it's a powerful thing, man. Like that's the next generation. That's our future right there.
Yeah.
And so I think that's our legacy. And so for me, I'm like, that's important. And I look at anyone that I admire in this music industry, or even not even in the music industry, in the business world, like they're having kids. They know how important it is. Um, and so, yeah, man, if I can have two, I'm blessed. If I can have 10, I'm blessed. Whatever the Lord gives me, man. But
Yeah.
I'm not the one doing all the hard work. So I'm leaving that part up to the missus.
Yeah. That's so funny. I'm curious, what is your, I guess, what is your pet peeve?
Ooh, what is my pet peeve? Like things that I hate or little things that people don't
Yeah,
know
things
about
that
me?
trigger you about people.
Oh man, liars. I don't like
Ooh.
lying. I
Mhm.
don't like lying, man. I used to lie a lot. And then I saw it as a form of weakness. And dishonesty and lying, man, is just something that I tried, and negative stuff, man. I try to not tolerate that around me anymore. I've learned that my space is important, my time is important, the ones I have around me are important. Um, yeah, like if you're gonna lie to me, and if I know you're lying, I'm pretty good at picking it out. I just kind of just have a really short tolerance for it. Um, like talking back to parents, people calling parents by their first names. Like, I don't really like that. Like, I was raised pretty old school, you know what I mean? So I say ma'am a lot, I say sir a lot. And I think we can, I think we can bring back a little bit of the chivalry. I think we can bring back a little bit of being gentlemen, and we think of being modest. So that, I don't know, those little things would be my pet peeves. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know, you see people hurting and you don't say nothing about it. I hate when people assume things about folks. I step into every situation just like this podcast, like it's an open book. I don't know much about you. You know much about me. I'm not. If someone told me all these things about you, I'm not walking in with that predetermination in my mind that that's who you are. Because I don't like that, man. And so I love meeting people, whether it's people on the streets, whether it's people in the prison that I go to or whatever, or like, and just meet you for who you are. Like, because like I said, your circumstance doesn't define your past, doesn't define who you are right now in the present. So yeah, I don't like when people are assuming. I don't like when we're operating out of the narratives in our heads.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. I saw a quote by, I think it was Mother Teresa, who said, if you judge, probably not exactly in that way, but if you judge people, you lose the ability to love them or something like that.
Mm,
If that's the first go-to. And yeah, you know what? I call it like a blank canvas. Same thing, actually. When I interview people, I literally, if I may skim the headlines or just the title, but I go in with an empty canvas because I'm not interested in the headlines. I'm interested in knowing what's behind and your version of your story and yourself and how you view the world, and because all that stuff sometimes gets lost, and we all have a different lens through which we see the world, and so I love that. Yeah,
yeah, no,
same.
it's so important, man. I think it's really important. I think if we all practice that, man, it'd be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a really beautiful thing, and it also allows a lot of healing. There's also there's a scripture or a phrase I love to say. Only by pride comes contention. So I start to learn that a lot of my arguments and a lot of my debates or a lot of the problems in the world, kind of the root of that is pride. You know what I mean? That
Mhm.
we don't take the time to put ourselves in someone else's shoes and try to see things from their perspective. Because there's a
Mm-mm.
humbling thing about that when you're able to look at an individual that's going through whatever they're going through or responding whatever way they're responding to you, and you start to think of like, man, what makes you operate that way? I used to think about that when, I was youth counselor and I would watch kids that would bully other kids and whatnot, and I sit down and I talk to them. I'm just like, man, what are you dealing with? Like, what makes you feel that you have to put someone else down? Like, how do you feel about yourself? Like, what are you going
Mhm.
through right now in life? And when you're able to kind of look through life in that lens, whatever encounter you kind of go through, it's such a beautiful thing. It's such a special thing because you start to learn that like everyone's dealing with something, man, at some capacity. And it doesn't matter how famous you are or not famous you are. It doesn't matter how rich you are or not rich you are. Those things don't fix your problems. And those things don't make the problems go away. So everyone's dealing with something, and everybody just needs a little love. Everyone just needs someone to take the time to sit and listen. Sometimes not talk, just sit there and listen. Say, I'm here. Whatever you want to say, I'm here with you.
See, I'm just sitting here listening. It's just, this is, yeah, just with an open mind, instead of thinking about, oh my gosh, what's the next thing I want to say, and it's so important that I say it, and yeah, you lose a lot. Oh, I would love to hear a gospel. Is there if you're willing, do you have like a favorite one, or that favorite one that hits you especially well?
Yeah, man. oh man, I'm probably gonna misquote this. Before I say that, something tied to what you said earlier was, if someone said to me, um, "Listen to understand, not to respond,"
Yeah.
and that's a beautiful saying I love to say all the time or remind myself of. Just like because I'm pretty, as you can see, I could sit here and I could talk and I could just go, go, go. And so if someone be talking to me, sometimes I'll be thinking about what I want to say and then what it's going through is a bit chest mind. And then I forget to sit there and understand what they're saying to me, and what they're trying to say to me. Marriage will teach you that a lot. Um, uh, but uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I think it's James. I want to say chapter 30, but I'm probably wrong. But it's like no one can say whether they're tempted by God, but you're tempted by your own desires. Um, and for that, man, that sometimes in life, I used to think that whenever I was dealing with shortcomings and whatnot, it was God testing me and strengthening me and giving me these trials. But then I started to realize that it was my desires that were leading me down those dark paths, and my desires were making me to make those bad mistakes. It allowed me to be honest, you know what I mean? And it's one of those things that stop taking those blame and casting on different things. You know what I mean? It's like I got sometimes God takes you through hard seasons, of course, but
Yeah.
sometimes we're there because of the decisions that we make. And sometimes we're falling into our habits or our addictions because of our desires, because internally that's what we desire and we think gives us a release. And so reading that scripture was always a good reminder that I'm like, man, I need to change what my desires are. I need to change what I want. And if I can change the root of that, then the fruits of that will be very different. And I think when I started to do that as a youth, as a teenager, you know what I mean, and it really helped me be focused in life. It really helped me,
Mm.
you know, call a thing what a thing is. You know what I mean, and just
Yeah.
like, hey, keep moving forward in life.
Mm. Is there a song, your song, that especially that fills you up more than any other song?
And there's a song that's not out yet. It's called "Better Days,"
Ooh.
and it's a song that I wrote. It's kind of pretty much right on the nose of what we're talking about. Um, it's pretty much it's called "Better Days." It's a song that I technically said that I wrote for my 16-year-old self. That was going
Wow.
through what he was going through and dealing with all the dark things he was dealing with. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And didn't realize that what I was going through was a season. So I was making a lot of bad decisions, thinking that season was going to be the rest of my life. And
Mm.
I wish that 29-year-old Thunderstorm can go back there and tell him that, hey, better days are coming someday. You're going to be fine. The depression and all the things you're dealing with are going to kind of go away. You're going to learn to manage it a lot better. You're gonna have two beautiful boys. You're gonna find a wonderful wife, and someday you pay all your bills with six strings. Isn't that crazy? Um, and you know what
Yeah.
I mean. And so it's like,
Yeah.
my dear, it's just a season. Better days are coming, and it's a message not just for myself. What I realized is a message that a lot of people needed to hear. And when I was kind of getting to sing and worship in the prison 2 days ago, um, it was one of the things that I was singing over the guys. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, what you're going through right now is just a season, and better
Yeah.
days are coming. You know what I mean? You don't let the season define you. Don't let your circumstance of what you're in right now. And one of the things the pastor was saying is like it's not prono to come back. It's not good to go back to the place that you left. So it's like, hey, if you leave here, don't come back here. This is just a season. It's in your past. Don't try to chase it again. And so it was really, that's probably one of the songs that really stick with me the most. It's a good reminder. And I get to play it out a few times. I can't wait to put it out in the fall. Um, but
Wow.
yeah, it's probably a song that I think has a really powerful message um, that I think people can relate to.
I cannot wait. Can you sing something for us that we are allowed to hear?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't have my stuff set up here, but let me grab a guitar for you or something. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if it picks up. All right, all right, all right.
All right. It's great.
All right, I'll have to see if this works. Still got this microphone here. You getting that at all?
Mhm. Yes. I mean, I can hear you.
There we go. As you're looking in the mirror, is the image any clearer? Do you recognize the eyes looking back? Are you wrestling with demons? Are they keeping you from sleeping? Do you feel like you're under attack? The war is coming and going, but never stay too long. Oh, my dear, it's just a season. You're gonna make it through. And if you don't believe it, I believe for you. I believe for you. Broken and you're bleeding, scared of what you see, and I know 'cause I've been there too. Baby, just believe me, better days are coming for you. Better days are coming for you. Better days are coming for you.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thank you.
like that, man.
Wow. Something like that.
Days.
I have goosebumps. That the message, your voice, it comes from an interesting place. Just there's so much depth. It's like your life was until now just like stuffed in there. And you sharing that. Thank you.
Oh man, it's
wow.
I love that song, man. It's yeah, I can't wait to put it out. I think it's a song that people are gonna really connect with, and
yeah,
I think it's a song that's a good reminder for me for every season of life that I've been through. Because there's a phrase I love to say: "With new levels come new devils." And so it's just like the older I get, more successful I get, or lack success, and when you're always comparing yourself to other people, it's always a new battle, it's always a new struggle, and so it's just not allowing the current battle to overwhelm you. Because I used to, a couple years ago, you know what I mean, be like whatever, like musically, I'd be like, man, this is the biggest problem in front of me. Like I can't believe this is just a big umbrella and a big shadow. But now I look back on it and I'm like, man, that wasn't that important. It didn't really matter that much. In the same way, I think a lot of us in life are going through things right now that we're letting consume us, whether it be political stuff, whether it be like spiritual things, whether it be just life in front of us. And we just like sometimes it's good to take a step back and just realize, let's make the main thing and find out what's really important, what's really going to get through in life with each other. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's all I got to say on that.
That's a lot. Yeah. And many times it's a battle in your head and in your mind. And then you realize a couple of days later, dang, what was that about? I barely remember it. And and I think when you go through what you've been through, and even myself, you feel like there's really nothing that's insurmountable at this point. Nothing other than just what's left is sharing, and just leaving a great legacy for your children, your loved ones, mentoring, empowering, just being a good human being. Look, this has been incredible. And there's a reason why we connected when we connected, and I'm really grateful. Is there anything on any parting thoughts, message that you'd like to leave?
Man, I would just say, just love yourself, man. Like who you are is important. Who you are is special. Who you are is unique. I think the moment that we abandon who we are and try to be like the rest of the world and try to be like somebody else, like it's a very sad day. So I would just say, man, for anyone out there that needs to hear the message that we're talking about on this podcast, that like, yeah, who you are is really special. And don't let the things around you define you. You know what I mean? And my father always said there's no difference between a rock star and a plumber. Both things that we do are equally as important. And so that way in life, man, I don't ever go through life thinking I'm greater than anyone else. And so I was just like, man, what you have to do, what you have to share is really special as well. So share your voice. You know, if God gives you a platform, use it to share truth and make sure that you're equipping other people to bring them up to do the things that you're doing. Because I think it's important to have someone behind you that you're discipling. It's important to have someone next to you that you're running with. It's a peer. And it's important to have someone who's in front of you that you're striving to be like, or striving to, that's like, man, that's my compass. They're doing something that I really love. And if you have those three things in life, man, you stay really grounded. And surround yourself with honest people. Yeah, it's important.
I like what you said about, someone behind you and in front of you. We could continue, and I say it sometimes casually. We'll have you back, but I'd love to. There, it's just so powerful, and I know people who will hear it and see it will be touched by it. Thunderstorm, thank you so much. I mean, truly, you bring, like a softness and strength that really, really like lands and cuts through. And I know, again, this is going to sit with many people for a very long time.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for reaching out and operating within my crazy schedule and lack of response sometimes. So thank you for, keep reaching out and for seeing something in me that you thought was worth having on your show. So thank you.
Yeah. Yes. And, stayed open. Definitely to the possibility. So it was well worth it. And, for everyone listening, you can stream Thunderstorm's music, catch him on tour, follow his journey, of course. Just check the episode description for links. And if you like today's episode, of course, hit subscribe, follow us on all social media channels, leave a review. And until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.